My name is Robert, and I'm from Texas. I had to go to a shop to pick up a part for my truck. It's the only place I could find that had it. It was out in the country, so I had to pull up the direction and print them out. I know it wouldn't have a signal. So I took off on what should have been about a 30-minute trip. I followed the directions and ended up at a T in the road. I had no idea which way to go. So I turned left and was going to try that way for a bit. Somehow I got so turned around, about 45 minutes later I was getting panicked. I couldn't even figure out how to get back to the main road I started on. Finally I saw a man standing by the road. He was an elderly man with a long gray beard, and he was wearing overalls. The one thing that stood out was that he only had one arm. And I told him I was lost and told him where I was supposed to be. He talked so low I could barely hear him. He said I was about 2 minutes away from where I was supposed to be, and to just keep following the road I had just turned onto. I thanked him and pulled off. When I looked back, I didn't see him anymore. And then it dawned on me, I didn't see a vehicle either. Strange, but I shrugged it off. When I pulled into the shop, I apologized and explained what happened. I told the man and his wife that if the old man hadn't rescued me, I would still be driving around out there. The man asked what the man was doing and what he looked like, because this land was all private and for truck drivers only. I told him about the man, and I stated that he only had one arm. The man and woman looked at each other, and he went over to a shelf and picked up a picture and showed me. He asked, "Is this the man you saw?" And I said, "Yes, that's him." The shop owner looked at me and said, "That's my uncle, but he's been dead for 10 years. I felt cold all over, and I couldn't feel my legs. I never believed in the paranormal, but how could I deny what I had seen? That was the man who gave me directions, and remembering back, he did disappear after I pulled away." The shop owner said this wasn't the first time his uncle had been seen. Many of the truck drivers going down the road have mentioned a one-armed older man waving as they passed by. I bought my part and then got directions on how to get out of there. When I left, I had a whole new respect for the paranormal. Thanks for sharing my story.
Hello, my name is Desiree, and this is my ghost story. In 2004, I was working for a food chain, going in and doing inventory and checking equipment and stuff like that. I would travel to all the different stores and locations, and I had just, several stores in each county that I did. I'm not going to say what food chain it was, but it's a huge one, and they have thousands and thousands of stores or locations. So this particular year is 2004. I had only been on the job about 6 months then, and I went to one of our locations that we have in Dallas. The store was closed that day, but the manager was there to let me in. She stated that she would be back later on to come and check on me if I needed anything, and she gave me her number in case I needed to call. Usually it took me a couple hours to get everything done that I needed to do. So after she had left, I locked up behind her, went and started checking off my list, doing the things I needed to do. About 20 or 30 minutes into it, I kept hearing what sounded like someone talking. It was a male, and it sounded like somebody carrying on a full conversation. I searched all over, was looking for a radio or a TV or something that maybe was on. I even listened to the headsets to make sure they weren't on, that was picking up chatter from outside. I never ended up finding anything. So I just shrugged it off and went on about my business. Then I got to where I was checking temperatures in the freezers and refrigerators and stuff. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw what looked like a male. It had to have been a male. The build and the figure walked right past me. I turned real quickly because it scared me. I hadn't heard the door open because, you know, it has one of those little bells that lets you know that somebody's coming in. I had never heard that. So it startled me to think that anybody was even in the building with me. As soon as I turned around, there was no one there. I brushed that off as well because I thought it was just out of the corner of my eye. Maybe it was just a car driving by, something like that. So again, I go on about my business, continue doing my work. Then I was finishing up with the freezers, and I felt someone tap me on my shoulder. It startled me so bad. I felt cold go all the way down my back. I didn't even want to turn around, but I did. I turned around and no one was there. It scared me so bad that I called the manager. I said, I need you to come back. There's somebody in the building with me. She said there's no way anybody else was in the building with her. She was the only one with the key, but she would be right there. So she shows up, and I tell her what I have been dealing with. And she states that I was not the first one who had these problems. The other people have said that they hear whispering in the building and that they felt like something tapped them, or they would see shadow figures walk past. So we discussed it for a little bit, and I decided I was going to go ahead and finish. She was going to go ahead and stay there with me just because my nerves were on end by that time. So she went up front and was doing some paperwork while I finished up my stuff in the back. About 20-30 minutes left of work that I still had to do, and I'm almost done. And a big, huge, we have like the 5-gallon deals of oil, that fell over right beside me. So quick that I looked. As soon as I heard the noise, there was nobody there. There's no way a gust of wind or anything could have knocked this 5-gallon deal of oil over. It was full. I screamed and I told the manager, come back here. She got back there. I showed her what had happened. We tried to knock it over with just there. It had to have been a spirit that knocked it over. It startled me so bad that to this day I still can't go into one of these buildings alone. I always have believed in spirits and the afterlife and all, but that day really opened up my eyes. It made me a complete believer. And I still to this day have no idea what it was, who it was. The building was not new when we purchased it. So we don't know the complete past of the building itself. But that was probably one of the scariest things that I've ever been through. And I haven't had any other episodes at any other stores or in my own personal life, but I will never forget that year that I started doing this job. And that is my ghost story. Thank you for listening. Hey guys, it's Amy. If you'd like to have your story featured on our channel, all you have to do is record yourself telling your story, give us the time or the year, and send it to us in the email, whattheparanormal@gmail.com, or you can also send it to me in my Facebook Messenger. We'd love to hear your stories, and we'd love to feature you on our segment, My Ghost Story. Season 1 is going great, and we are really enjoying everyone's ghost stories. If you don't want to read it yourself, go ahead and send it in to me anyway in written form, and we have people that will read it for you. So anyways, have a great day. Thank you for tuning in to this series. It's definitely been one of my favorites. All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.